outdoors, the best shower ever.
G'day, I'm Mark Berg. This week we continue our journey in the high country of Kosciuszko National Park. Our main objective is to catch trout, but equally important is learning to use fishing as a tool to combat an ever-increasing mountain of mental health issues within our community. Matt Tripet understands the positives fishing can have on our mental health and has developed a program that helps men get back on their feet. After a hearty breakfast under the roof of Daffodil Cottage and our gear packed in the car, we venture out to learn a little more of what it's all about.
Presenting a lure or working a lure, I approach very similar to how I would present a fly. I like to fish from downstream, working upstream. I'll vary my retrieves. Sometimes my retrieves in some of the slow still pools will be very slow and very sporadic, lots of pauses. Typically we find in that water the fish will be more observant and not necessarily as aggressive. They'll watch and they'll want to see a weakness in that lure. In the faster water, I'll work a lure with a bit more vigour and a more constant, steady retrieve. And what we'll find in the faster water, the fish are more reactive or more responsive. So you'll typically find more aggressive and fast strikes. They won't look so much because the food source will be gone down that current before they get a chance to eat.
Those spots. You are beautiful. They're lake-run fish, and they found this prime little step right on the edge of this rock face. Yeah, and they're just going to sit in there like that. We're onto a really good fish here.
The kind of spin gear I'm looking for, in my trout outfits, I'll actually have about 3 outfits that I'll go for, and it will be fairly dependent on the system. If I'm fishing a mid-size creek or stream, which is very common down the Snowy Mountains, I'm looking for a rod that's about 6.5 foot, quite a fast action rod, and probably rated anywhere from 1 to 3 kilos, quite light. And obviously finding a reel that balances that is really important. In those smaller outfits, I have a preference of just fishing straight fluorocarbon. Fluorocarbon's a hardier material, it's not as soft as mono, and we do get abrasions on rocks and things like that, so I do prefer fishing straight through fluoro, and I'll fish that anywhere from 1 kilo to 1.5 kilos, but nothing heavier than that. And I'll typically fish a fairly stiff drag on my retrieves, and then take the drag off a little bit during the fighting stage because I'm fishing very light, but I want to ensure that that hookup is strong initially.
Oh wow, they're nearly an Atlantic salmon.
The gear I wear in the mountains, and what I would recommend for people who really want to come out here, is actually, be aware that we can have any weather system on any day in the mountains. So always be prepared. I carry a lot of gear on me personally when I personally fish, but also as a professional trout guide. The things that I carry when I'm in remote areas on my own, I always have an EPIRB, I have a satellite phone, I have a good first aid kit, and I will carry all Gore-Tex materials, things that are going to keep the wind and the rain if it gets really, really cold. And I typically fish in all conditions. I don't fish on beautiful blue days all the time, I'll fish in everything. So I want to make sure that my gear is good and it's going to keep me safe and keep me dry. What I would recommend for people to do is, to borrow from friends. If they don't have a good jacket, borrow from a friend a good jacket. You can go to the national parks here in the New South Wales Snowy Mountains and you can borrow an EPIRB at no cost. So all of those things puts a security blanket around yourself to ensure that when you're in remote wilderness areas that you are safe. And that's really, really important because you don't want a bad incident. It can be catastrophic down here, so you need to be well prepared.
I've eventually followed my passion, and yeah, I'm very, very privileged to be able to share with the community something that, next to my family, trout fishing is my most passionate part of my life, and having the opportunity to do that and share my love and passion with other people.
Catch and release. For me, I release 99.9% of my fish back to the river. If I do take a fish, it's typically out of the lake. I have a very, very strong affinity with the fish in the rivers. I'd nearly cry, I think, if one died. I just think these are the wild species of that. They're what I hunt in, day out, and they give me so much pleasure and joy. I love to put them back, and I love to put them back in a condition that is healthy. I try not to photograph too much. I'll just try and get it back in the water and get it swimming again. From the lake, the fish are wonderful to eat. They have high protein diets from crustaceans and things like that. So they have very, very red flesh. They smoke very, very well. I would certainly recommend people who want to try trout fishing and eat some trout, which is wonderful. It's a part of the sport that we love. I would say, hit our lakes and impoundments. They are plentiful full of fish. You can fish them all year round. There's no closures, and the condition of the fish are just amazing. The Fly program is a registered health awareness charity that my wife and I founded about 18 months ago. Through the circumstances of losing my wife's brother to suicide nearly 3 years ago now, we felt a great deal of responsibility to help and shape people's lives for the better, particularly Aussie men. I've seen day in, day out the benefits of getting particularly blokes into the outdoors. and that made me start researching very quickly how can my professional skill set support and help and nurture men to health. And getting people into the outdoors, getting people active, and giving people new skill sets and new interests has a wonderful means to be able to provide positive cognitive function in the way in which we think and we act. And recreational fishing has that in spades. You know, have been a professional in the industry for about 10 years now as a professional guide. At the age of 36, I feel very lucky, but I haven't stopped learning. And the thing that whenever I've had my own challenges, and I've had very big challenges in my life, I found myself in particular by a trout stream. And it's in those environments that my head is clear, and it's a place where I can succeed but also be challenged. And it's just so good for the soul. So the Fly program is about helping Australian men through recreational fishing and other outdoor-based activities, putting them into these wonderful social environments around other men who have similar stories, and casting a line. And it's very humble in its nature, but what it can do for us is so profound. And I'm incredibly motivated, not just to, you know, have an impact on the industry through the Fly program, but I'm incredibly motivated to make a change to just one individual. If we can just change the outcome for one individual, it's all worth it.
Hey, there's a good fish.
The Fly program was built on passion. It wasn't built on any funds or any equity. It was out of a need to make change. So my wife and I had a 0 cents to our name in respect to starting this organisation, and it has been built completely out of partnerships, people who have heard about the story and have believed in the story and have been able to invest money into the story, and also their professional expertise. You know, building the legal structure behind a health awareness charity is very complex, and we've had some amazing friends who have been able to build that for us, support us and lead us in that direction. So it's just been a whole network of people who have helped us to build this organisation for what it is today, and the overwhelming generosity of the community has been simply overwhelming. how people can support the fly program comes in many, many different roles. Firstly, being open and talking to your loved ones, family and friends, those close circles around you. It may be a conversation that helps someone back on their feet again. That's number one, because that's our objective. Number two, the fly program can't exist without financial support. And we've been completely overwhelmed with the generosity thus far. But the thing that will really get people into our programs is financial support. As a health awareness charity, we have a DGR status, which is a deductible gift recipient status. It means that with a donation of 50 cents or more, we can give you a receipt for tax time. We rely heavily on donations, and we exist through people's support in that capacity. So it doesn't matter if it's $10 or if it's $100. No, that support goes directly into the organisation that supports Australian men through mental health problems and suicide prevention. The thing that I say all the time, and my own experiences through losing a family member to suicide, is that suicide and mental health problems in our community, men and women, but everybody has a story and everybody can connect with a story. And I think as a community, it's about time that we shift our thinking, and rather than thinking about mental illness as a character trait, we need to start thinking about it as an illness. And that's what it is, it's an illness. And we have a wonderful opportunity to have a wonderful impact on this thing that is pulling people down day in, day out. And the great opportunity is that everybody can be treated. Everybody, no exclusions. So why not? Like, let's do it. Where is Matt Tripet in 30 years' time? I'd love to see Matt Tripet standing on a trout stream in 30 years' time, casting a fly and still trying to work these trout out. That's where I'd love to see him. As a professional in the industry, I would love to see Matt Tripet making a large contribution to the industry, and to continue to share with people his love for the industry. And deep down, I hope that it's through recreational fishing that we can have a big impact on the health and well-being of Australian men. The social environments and recreational fishing is not, I've said time in, time out, it's not just about the dimensions of the fish. There is so much more. And, the whole journey out there, on a river, on a lake, out by the beach, wherever it may be, the journey is the trophy. And the more and more we can share that with people and take people off the grid, get people away from their phones, get people away from deadlines at work, and just provide people an opportunity to see nature in its glory, and to have support networks around people. It could be a guide, it could be a friend, it could be a father, it could be a mother, it could be a daughter, it could be a son. We've got wonderful environments to use recreational fishing for the health and well-being of our community.
Oh, beautiful.
The best part about being a recreational fishing guide is just being able to share your knowledge and your interest in the sport with other people. Fishing's given me a huge amount of enjoyment, and being able to give back is really, really important for me. People talk about leaving a legacy in the industry. I certainly believe that recreational fishing has left a legacy in me, and I'm a very, very small part of giving back, and sharing that with other people is important to me.
Oh, come on. Yep. Oh, he took the little one though. I had a big fish on it.
I personally have been touched by depression, but through the right treatment I was able to climb out of it. Matt's compassion for helping others is admirable, and through the humble act of fishing, Matt has found a light at the end of the tunnel.